The Phantom of Pinewood Forest, a true horror story. The story I'm about to tell is based on true events. Some details have been added for dramatic effect, but the core of the story really happened. The Phantom of Pinewood Forest. In 1987, a small village named Pinewood, nestled in the Czech countryside, became the site of terrifying events that haunt its residents to this day. Jan and Eva Novak were a young couple who had just moved into an old house on the outskirts of the village. The house was surrounded by a dense forest, which the locals called Pinewood Forest. The villagers often warned that strange things happened in the forest and advised avoiding it, especially after dark. One autumn evening, Jan decided to explore the forest. Eva was against it, having heard stories of strange disappearances and unexplained phenomena. But Jan reassured her, saying they were just tales. He took a flashlight and headed into the forest. An hour passed, and when Jan didn't return, Eva grew anxious. She went to the neighbors, who helped organize a search party. Several men from the village ventured into the forest, calling out for Jan, but received no response. Eventually, they found his flashlight lying on the ground next to an old, abandoned mine shaft. There was no sign of Jan. The following days turned into a nightmare. Eva claimed she could hear Jan calling for help from the forest at night. But whenever she tried to follow the voice, she always ended up at the old mine. The locals began talking about an ancient curse that had befallen the forest and the old mine. According to legend, many workers had died in a collapse there, and their souls never left the forest. Desperate and exhausted, Eva decided to enter the mine herself. As soon as she stepped inside, she felt a chill and heard whispers. It was as if someone or something was watching her. She found some old tools and decaying wooden beams, but no sign of Jan. As she turned to leave, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned around, but no one was there. She quickened her pace and almost ran out. That night, Eva dreamt that Jan was calling her again. This time it was different. The voice was closer and more intense. Unable to sleep, she decided to go back to the forest, this time with a few neighbors. As they approached the mine, the wind started blowing fiercely, and the trees bent under its force. Suddenly, a thick fog appeared, and a terrifying scream echoed through the forest. Everyone stopped and looked at each other in horror. From the fog emerged a figure. It was Jan, or at least something that looked like him. His eyes were empty, and his face was pale. "Help me," he whispered. "They left me here. I can't leave." When Eva tried to touch him, his figure dissolved and vanished into the fog. It was never determined what exactly happened. The Novak house remained abandoned, and Pinewood Forest became a place everyone avoided. The legend of the Phantom of Pinewood Forest became part of local folklore and is still told around campfires, warning future generations to stay out of the forest after dark.